It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you, mama, who to talk it to you. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you, honey.
Hi, John X here. In this lesson, I'm going to help you learn how to read and write drum charts. Be sure to purchase my ebook to follow along with this lesson series. I'll start by saying that there's definitely more than one way to write a drum chart. However, some ways are just a little easier to read than others. I'll teach you the method that I use, then we'll take a look at a couple other options. Since we've been working with Like a Stone, we'll start by writing out the drum groove for that song. I start by adding a bar line to the beginning of the measure. I add the percussion clef, the time signature, then I end the measure with a double bar line. Next, I'll write out the hi-hat part. For this groove, it's eighth notes. I place the hi-hat on the top line of the staff. Some people prefer to place it on the space between the two lines. However, I like to reserve that spot for the high tom. Now, I'll add the snare part using a solid note head. And finally, I'll add the bass drum part. Once again, I'll use a solid note head. Here's another way this groove can be written. In this version, the eighth notes on counts 1 and 2 are beamed together, or in other words, connected, and the eighth notes on counts 3 and 4 are beamed together. This is an acceptable way of writing eighth notes, however, it's not usually my preferred method. Here's yet another way of writing out this same groove. In this version, the hi-hat and snare drum are written as one part, and the bass drum is written as a separate part. To me, this method could sometimes make it more difficult to see how the different parts of the groove line up. Once again, it's acceptable, however, it's not the way I prefer to write things. Unfortunately, the drumming community is not yet 100% in agreement on where to write the different parts of the drum set on the staff. When a musician is reading in treble clef, an F is always an F, and an A is always an A, no matter who's writing it. Likewise, when a musician is reading in bass clef, a C will always be a C, and an E will be an E. These notes will always appear on the same place in the staff. So, with that said, here's where the drum set and percussion community are pretty much in agreement. The following two examples are referred to as a drum key, or sometimes a drum legend. A drum key tells you what each note on the percussion staff stands for. Here's a drum key for the snare drum, toms, and bass drum. Here's one that includes the different cymbals, hi-hats, and a cowbell. Remember, if you see a note head with an X, it's most often for a cymbal of some sort. It could be for a ride cymbal, a crash cymbal, a hi-hat, any sort of cymbal. I've attached a sample drum chart. We'll go through it section by section and discuss what's written and why it's written the way it is. The chart starts with the 4-bar intro. A simple rock groove is written using slashed hi-hats. This is a term used to tell the drummer to keep the foot pressure on the hi-hat pedal very loose so that the hi-hat cymbals have a sloppy or a slashed sound. The groove is written out in the first measure. Then a repeat sign is written in measure 2. This tells you to repeat what was played in the previous measure. A repeat sign is also written in measure 3. Slashes are written in a measure to tell you to play time or play a groove. This method of writing is used in many different styles of music. The last measure of the intro has 3 slashes and a fill written out. This tells you to play 3 beats of the groove followed by a fill starting on the 4th beat of the measure. Notice that there's a double bar line written at the end of the last measure of the intro. Double bar lines are used to signify the end of a song section. Here's what this measure would look like if the full groove was written out for the first 3 beats instead of slashes. Compare this version to the one using slashes. Slashes will save you a lot of time when writing charts, and for me, they make the chart much easier to follow. Remember, you're not creating a transcription. You're simply creating a drum chart that'll tell you where you are in a song and what to play. Now we'll take a look at the first verse. There are a few different things I would like to discuss in this section. Let's start with the first bar. Notice that it has the same groove written as the intro, however, this time it's played using tight hi-hats instead of slashed hi-hats. To get a tight hi-hat sound, simply apply more foot pressure on the hi-hat pedal. Tight hats are typically used for softer sections of a song. Also, notice that the first note of the measure is played using a crash cymbal and bass drum. Your right or lead hand will move to the hi-hat on the and or 2nd eighth note of beat 1. In bar 4, you'll notice the number 4 in parentheses on top of the bar. This simply tells you that this is the 4th bar of the section. It does not say to repeat the previous 4 bars. In the first measure of line 3, you'll see another method for writing out a cymbal crash. This method is used when you want to tell the drummer to play a cymbal crash, but don't want to write out the entire groove. In the last measure of the verse, you'll see fill written over the top of 2 slashes. This tells the drummer to play a fill on beats 3 and 4 of the measure. Well, that wraps up this lesson. I sure hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next lesson in this series. I'll see you again soon. Bye now.
It's your